Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. My name is LastKnownMeal, and welcome to the episode 3 of the
The
podcast.
podcast.
The podcast. I
The
love this.
uh,
It's like you
uh,
want to say it. I want to say it. The podcast.
just say the podcast. Go on, you know you want to.
Oh man, it's been a while since we did one of these. I was on vacation and hopefully had a nice 3 weeks or something like
Yeah,
that.
3 weeks. Three
Man,
weeks. You abandoned me for
God
3 weeks,
damn it.
and I had no last known meal. It's just a sad
Like,
existence.
man, I know. It's like I counted. I legit counted. I think I passed around 2,500 kilometers in the past 2 weeks.
Nice,
That was
nice.
crazy, man. But it was good. It was
That's
good. Like
quite
everyone,
a lot of distance.
yeah. I think everyone deserves a little bit of break. You know, that's specifically how sometimes it's like you gotta just take a step back, relax,
Yeah.
get things in motion.
Oh, okay. No, that's good. Meanwhile, I've just stuck around my local area, but somehow I've ended up even just as busy as you have anyway.
Man, I know,
So,
but
mate,
it's good to be busy. It's good.
that keeps you sane because, well, relatively sane anyway.
Mm. Yeah,
What the hell can you do anyway?
I mean, that's the thing. Like when I had this when I was in puberty and everything. Like, oh, I don't want to work. I'm like, fuck it. And I realized like work is good. Like especially if you work something you are passionate about. Like you, for example, for cosplay. I mean, yeah, it's like you will do everything in your power because you have passion for it. You will find a way to finish it.
Oh yeah, of course. And because my cosplay, I was just mentioning to you earlier, last night, my cosplay stuff has really exploded.
Mm.
The secret project that no one still has guessed yet is still has finally started, and I know I keep promising this, but my Instagram will be updated. I've got a load of videos. I've actually got a couple of videos because I got to cosplay as Black Mask, even though it was a horror theme thing, but I got away with it because I'm really nice to Central Legion. And so what I did, the film, the Guillermo del Toro movie, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Mm-hmm.
When that debuted, I got to be part of a team of people all in horror costume, and spook people after after they left the film. It was really fun.
Man.
No joke. The first set of people we scared was literally at the very end of the movie. They did the Marvel thing of waiting till the very end of the credits, and then a guy with a hammer dressed up as a clown, me in Black Mask. By the way, this is a pitch black cinema, people. So, and you've just finished watching a horror movie. Try and place yourself there. And then a girl dressed as Dollface, which was genuinely terrifying. Venom, because look, we were trying our best, and it's technically scary. And he was actually, and that was an absolutely amazing cosplay, to be fair. And a werewolf. I'm just trying to remember who else was there, and a jigsaw
Jesus.
and a murderous doll, as another murderous doll.
Man, I can
All
imagine
came
the
in.
screams.
Yeah, they screamed quite loud. One of them, they were at the top row of the cinema. One of them actually jumped the barriers and injured themselves to run away from us.
What the fuck?
Yep, we really spooked them.
My
And
God.
I'm really, once again, I've said this before about my cosplay. I was really glad I was wearing a mask because the effect would have been broken because I was literally laughing very, very hard.
Oh,
All-
I remember when I was watching Paranormal Activity 2 back in the day. I was watching it in cinema. I was fucking scary film. I was scared as shit. And if something like that happened at the end of that film, oh man, I would go
oh
through
yeah,
the roof.
so you'd actually find a way to leap out.
Yeah, I would get like super jump at that fucking moment. I'm like, gone.
No, 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 no.
Just just hear Kenyan yelling, no, 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 it's
No, it's just a mask. It's just a prank, bro.
Man, I can imagine. But we have a lot of exciting stuff to talk about today. We're going to talk about Batman. We're going to talk about Joker. And I want to start off with the Joker. Like the new film is almost out. It's been shown on some festivals, if I'm not
Oh,
wrong.
I can't wait.
Right now, yeah.
Oh,
Like
as a Joker fanboy, I'm just literally like champing at the bit.
yeah.
I'm literally just like, yeah, finally, because there is that part of me that says I don't want to know Joker's origin at all.
Yeah.
I don't because one of the best quotes from the brilliant Alan Moore's Killing Joke. If I want to have a choice, if I'm going to have an origin story, I prefer it to be multiple choice. That is pretty much one of the best lines ever written in a comic book, in my honest opinion. Fight me, comment section. That is a challenge. So literally, if you want to challenge my opinion, put hashtag Kenyan challenge, and I'll read the comment and I'll come up with an argument for you. There's something for you. Because have at thee podcast. See, transitions now. We've really got good at this.
Man, it's like the podcast takes the best out of people. It's like, it's like you are gonna fight you with arguments.
Have at thee, peasant.
But to basically introduce the people, like the new film from Todd Phillips, starring Joaquin Phoenix, is almost out on October 4th, I believe, and it's the new interpretation of Joker. Now, is this actually like at first I didn't understand. Is this the Joker, like DC Comics Joker?
It's associated.
Yeah.
They've stated in interviews that it is. They're going to try and stay away and tell as much of a original story as possible. And I can't remember. Another YouTuber said it. At the end of the day, it's a character study.
Yeah.
It's a study of because these people do exist. The people who are on the fringes of society who feel like they're given nothing and they've been abandoned and things are getting worse and worse and worse. And there's some people saying no, we shouldn't look into it and we shouldn't study these sorts of people, but it's basically one of the things I love about Martin Scorsese, who as soon as I worked out he was on board with this project, I was giddy because he's one of my favorite directors. One of my favorite actors, Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Joaquin Phoenix is one of my favorite actors. I love him in Gladiator. He's such a good villain. He's such and he's had quite an interesting connection to Heath Ledger as well.
Yeah.
There's that picture that's been going around of the two of them.
But wait, Scorsese is in this project, or?
Yeah. He's he's a producer, I think.
I think so. I mean, Todd Phillips is directing it, but I didn't see.
Martin Scorsese isn't heavily involved in this.
Probably as a producer.
Project. Most likely. I'll just get the power of Wikipedia.
Man.
Bear with me.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna.
But we'll edit this one to make it shorter.
Doesn't say on IMDb.
He's heavily involved. I know he's involved because there's been a lot of comparisons with Martin Scorsese's brilliant film, The King of Comedy, to the Joker and to the Joker film, because you've got that absolutely fantastic scene with Robert De Niro. Robert De Niro as the chat show host, and it's quite a on its head sort of thing, because in The King of Comedy.
I just found it. Yeah. He is actually one of the producers. He is involved with the film.
You can say Kenyan's right.
Yeah. I mean, not to the big point, but I think I don't know. Like that's the thing with producers in Hollywood, and let me just say, like that's what we learned. It's like sometimes you will just have people. They will do one small thing, but because of the name, you get them on board. You write their name because people are attracted to it. You see?
In my opinion, with the brilliant thing about Martin Scorsese being on board, you can get a film like Taxi Driver in that dark kind of character study again, with one of the most iconic villains of all time in the Joker. You can't go wrong.
Man, I love it. I love it.
And it's literally, I'm literally, all my friends back home all know that I have been itching for this film, and I've been sat there crossing everything I can cross, going, please be good, please don't mess this up, please, because you can't, in my opinion, this is one of the. I really hope this Joker film will be like, even the trailers, for example. One of the things I loved was the scene where you see him jumping down the stairs and dancing down, descending into madness and doing more and more despicable things.
Did you hear the laugh?
Oh, it's good.
He
based it off. There's an actual disease, I can't remember the name off the top of my head, but there's an actual mental disorder where you laugh uncontrollably, and Joaquin Phoenix based it off that.
I know about like Tourette's that has like motions which are not.
It's partially, yeah. It's a form of Tourette's. Hang on.
Might be.
Power of Wikipedia.
But yeah, one thing I love about this film, it's actually like this Joker became the Joker because of society. He became because he was treated because of the. I know there's also a crazy relationship with his mother in the film. Like it's like one of like that's the thing. Like I now start connecting dots because I don't know if you watched Mindhunter.
No, go on.
Oh man, yeah, it's amazing. Like they study serial killers, and usually everything is kind of connected with this son-mother relationship from childhood. If the child was abused or something like that. So, like even
it's one of the,
yeah,
oh, go on.
like even though it's Joker, it's like a very realistic scenario that can actually happen.
Yeah, that's quite scary when you think about it. But what I was going to say is, I know in a study of serial killers in general, one of the most common features in all of their background is some sort of emotional abuse in some shape, way, or form, and then worshipping a certain individual, and then that individual is removed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really, really, really showcasing my mental sanity over the internet. Look, I'm a normal person. I don't dress up as comic book villains and talk about serial killers all the time. I'm digging myself a hole. Take over! It's going wrong,
man. Like, no, but that's the thing. That's what I love about this film is that it's really going to show this change, and especially because like the actor is a key. Like for example, if we compare, like I'm not going to compare it to Ledger. I'm not going to compare him with I am going to compare him with Leto a bit because Leto had a very interesting idea around the character. It was like, how would I say, Joker if it was imagined by millennials.
I like that.
Now, for real. And the thing is like Jared, I think he is capable of actually making good character. And usually, like, of course, his costume and everything, it was part of the director's vision. So I don't know how much of freedom did he have on that. I know that he really took over like the role. I think he was sending rats to his film.
Yeah. This is an argument that, and I'm bringing this to the internet because I'm this petty. I have a friend who I argue with all the time about Leto's Joker, because in my opinion, Leto wasn't a bad Joker. He wasn't given the screen time or the chance.
Yes, that's exactly what I want to say. Exactly, because if you think about it, like he didn't get much time, and the entire film was badly written. Like,
100% agree with that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Fuck it. We'll see. Now, what is your general opinion about actors portraying Jokers in general? Like, there were so many iconic ones. That is crazy.
You're never gonna get it 100% right. And in my opinion, as a fan of the Joker in general, one of the things I have always really loved is situations where you can get every different character, every single individual playing the Joker comes up with something new and another take on it. You've got Jack Nicholson, who was touted to be the original best Joker before Ledger, before any of the others. And one of the things I loved about Nicholson is that he's very comic book. He's a very comic book kind of character. And while with for example, Ledger, people say, "Oh, Ledger was the best Joker," and he's a very strong Joker, but he's more of for example, with Nicholson, you've got the comic book version, one of the best, in my opinion, the best comic book versions of the character. But then you get Ledger, and I think Ledger is one of the best modern interpretations of the Joker. And I love particularly his line that he's an agent of chaos. He was a very because remember Christopher Nolan series of films, if you remove Batman, it's just a crime noir series, which is not a bad thing at all. It's brilliant, really. But that's what that Joker was born in the time. It's 2008. September the 11th, the terrorist attacks, the 7/7 bombings, there was still a lot of fear in the world about the in the world in general. And so the thing I find most fascinating about the character as a whole is just how he can. I'm struggling here, but with Ledger, you can see he's the most believable in a way. Up until Joaquin Phoenix's interpretation, he was still, in my opinion, one of the it was always going to be one of the most believable and most plausible kind of Jokers. Literally, one of my favorite theories about the character is that he's an ex-soldier that's been abandoned and gone crazy, and he wants to tear down all rules, all cities, because particularly the line he states about if a truckload of soldiers blow up, nobody panics because it's all part of the plan.
Yep.
And then you've got Leto, who, like I said, in my opinion, was given virtually nothing to work with. He had a lot of potential, but a lot of potential sometimes doesn't cover it. And it's frustrating. And it is. I can really understand his frustration because he's even said in in interviews about the character that, well, he was made a load of promises that were never fulfilled. And if you have a rubbish script, what can you do?
Yeah, and that's something I can stand behind with. Like, no matter how good of an actor you are, sometimes if the script is bad, if a director is not, the most fit for the project, you can do nothing. And when I generally think about Jokers, I look at the entire film and see if they fit. For example, when it comes to Heath Ledger and his portrayal of the Joker, he was perfect for the idea that Nolan had. Like, I mean, Nolan took a different approach to superheroes and to villains and to comic books in general. That's something I will always respect, because until the Christopher Nolan's trilogy of the Batman, it's like everything was like, it's comic book, this and that, and they actually took it and placed it into a real world. And the idea of Heath Ledger's Joker being an ex-soldier, he had the knowledge, he had everything to work with. He was always around something. He used weapons a lot, didn't he? He used bombs.
Oh yeah. Never. The only time he missed a shot in the entire film, you can tell I've watched the film a lot.
Yeah.
Was when after the truck flips.
Yeah.
And he falls over and fires that burst. Everything else he aims at, he hits without fail. Mm-hmm. And that's why I genuinely think, he's an ex-soldier.
And if you look at his face, if you look at the paint, it's more of a war paint rather than just being craziness. I mean, yes, craziness, but it's kind of it has that war paint, like military war paint history to it.
Yeah, and as well, and it's like when he's disguised as a police officer. I can remember when I first watched the movie thinking, how the hell did Joker infiltrate the police thing so easily?
Yeah.
And then it's just like, well, without his makeup, he literally just looks a wounded veteran.
Yeah.
Perfect disguise. So that's what I really find brilliant about that particular character. It's like, as much as I love Ledger's interpretation, he wouldn't have worked. For example, he really wouldn't have worked in as in the Tim Burton film.
Yeah.
He's too comic booky. You have to fit your medium, and in this case, like I said, and with Joker as a character, this is why I'm so excited about the Joaquin Phoenix, because he's always done brilliant character studies in general. He's always done those so nicely and so well. So it's like, that's what makes me so excited to see Joaquin Phoenix and watch basically The Killing Joke, the movie. A guy who is trying to do the right thing, who is trying to, because we've all had those moments in life. Like, I've had a bad day today, and you just want to shout and scream and do anything to make things feel better for you then and there, and you feel so lost and hopeless and that and things. That's what Arthur's doing in the film.
Yeah,
he's trying to do the right thing. I've always stated that everyone in life is a good person at heart. Everyone's trying to do the right thing, but
Yeah.
that's how some of the best villains are people who, when you encounter them, you think they have a point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really looking forward to this film, and
Yeah.
why I've always loved Batman as a whole, because the character's always, if you take the character on its own, it can be a little bit boring, but then you've got such fantastic villains.
I mean,
Always.
yeah, it's
Go on,
like
go on.
if I actually, let's also, like, I want to mention other Joker actors. Like when you also mentioned Jack Nicholson, at that time when I was a kid, when I was watching Batman from 1989, I think that was,
Yes.
yeah,
That was it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jack was scary, man. As a Joker at that time, Jack Nicholson was scary as hell. And then
He
I
was.
also look back at, let's say, Cesar Romero, who was he the first? I think he was the first.
He was one of the first, yeah. And in my opinion, it's one of the things that's so funny, and I can't unsee it ever since it got pointed out to me. You can see his mustache.
Yeah.
He never refused
Yeah,
to
but
shave
but
his
but
mustache.
at that time it's different rules, different kind of an age.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he also did a very nice job for that age. Like he was really
he was
cool.
like-
Yeah.
And they all, in a way, this is why I think he's such a great as a character idea. He's so great because you've got so many arcs that you can work with, because you've got Cesar Romero, the harmless clown, which is one facet of the Joker's personality. You've got the anarchist and mass murderer in Heath Ledger. You've then on top of that got good old Jack Nicholson, the kind of crime lord set and proper supervillain that is of Joker. And then wherever Jared Leto fits in, no one really knows. But
If he got a chance, he would actually be a very decent Joker, in my opinion. Leto. If he actually got a good script, if he was working in the right conditions, he would be great. You can actually see like some of the scenes where he was in. It's like it's good and it's gone, and no more.
Like when he's intimidating the guard scene.
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that was brilliant. And but then, like you said, it just loses all momentum.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that film, the only person who did well out of that film was Margot Robbie.
Yeah, she did
and
amazing.
She lived the character.
But she had screen time.
Yeah, she had lots of screen time.
It's like there's so much they could have developed, the love relationship between them. It's like so much, but you wasted opportunity.
Yeah.
But the best laugh for me, Mark Hamill, without doubt.
Oh yes, 100% he is.
Best laugh by how would I say, by kilometers. By its pace. Like I don't know. I don't.
Well, I've heard one of my favorite. How do you say? One of my favorite things about Mark Hamill's character.
Yeah.
Is he did an interview about the Joker, and he said, "How do you develop a laugh?" And he said, "Well, I just tried different laughs."
I saw that.
Saw what worked, and he's like, and I must have seen crazy in the car just trying out different laughs while stuck in traffic, and it's just like fantastic.
Imagine driving past the guy like.
It's like, well, someone's enjoyed their cereal this morning.
Oh, there is also one more. Did you hear about Cameron Monaghan or something like that? He was the Joker in Gotham.
Ah, yes. That was a thing. I like the fake out, the original fake out with Jerome. That was quite clever.
Okay.
But then they seemed to just lose all direction.
Yeah.
With it, and it just turned into a weird portrayal.
Yeah, but at first, like, he was really good. Like he had potential. Like it's TV show. Sometimes they just don't get it right. I mean, Gotham in general was a bit cringy in some ways, but also a really good show that I watched.
I really liked Gotham. Yeah. I really liked Gotham. It had once again, I agree. It had a lot of potential. It had a lot of stuff in the right place.
Yeah,
but the problem was it. They actually, I watched a video recently, and I actually found out they weren't. They had a list of characters that were given to them by Warner Brothers that
Yeah.
they weren't allowed to use under any circumstances, and
Oh
Joker was on
God.
the list.
Oh God. But
And so that's why you got the Jerome fake out, that he's
ah,
not really Joker, because they weren't allowed to use the character.
God damn it.
And then as the show got a bit of success, they just kind of went, let's just do it anyway, and just blatantly ignore Warner Brothers' demands.
Yeah.
And it's quite interesting.
Yeah, but like when I think about it in that show, like most of the people that actually were portraying, let's say villains, they did a really nice job. If you look at Oswald Cobblepot by Robin Lord Taylor, like really good portrayal.
I think that one of the strongest portrayals of Penguin, to be fair.
Yeah, he did an amazing job. The walk, the looks, and everything, and even the guy like looks like
the madness of him as well.
Yeah,
I loved how he could go from so kind of just talking like we are now to then stabbing someone in the throat.
Yeah. It's like one side he's like good, and it's like everything is like okay, he's finally getting better, and then he pulls something off. I'm like, man, you're a good actor.
The scene that sold it for me was when he finally broke out of Doctor Strange programming.
Yeah,
and killed his stepmother and his stepsister and brother. Oh, that was ridiculous.
Yeah, that was crazy, but big props to that. But anyway, let's not just go away from Joker. So, to continue on the latest film, do you think like usually the stuff is before the film comes out? Usually in festivals you will have selected audience that are gonna love it. Hopefully when it comes out everyone loves it. But as soon as I heard that Joaquin, or what's his name is pronounced, Joaquin Phoenix actually was selected for the role, I'm like, fuck yeah. Because every single time I watched his films, man, he's such a dedicated actor. It's like one of the rare things you see now in cinema. It's like before you had such like actors right now, they come and go. It's like, but he was someone who actually stuck for a very long time. And like even before that, I remember there were some polls and stuff, and people like voted for Joaquin to actually play the guy. I'm so glad he got the role. Yeah,
I'm really glad too. One of the things I loved about his performance, and quite just an interesting point, by the way. You know, when Heath Ledger was originally selected for the Joker role.
Yeah, no one loved it. Like,
well, quite interestingly, I was trawling through some old forums. The amount of people who backlashed against it, because they said that he wasn't the Joker. They wanted Leonardo DiCaprio, and they said that these people said that he shouldn't play Joker because he shouldn't play Joker because he's had a background in he's had too much of a background in soaps. Because he was a former soap star, and they said, "Oh, he shouldn't be involved in that." And I'm like, "Well, okay, that's quite interesting."
Yeah,
it's very interesting actually, because on the subject of Batman, bringing it back, that it's quite interesting that a lot of people moaned about been moaning about Robert Pattinson playing Batman, for example. And it's just like, well, give him a chance.
Exactly. Like, at first, like, honestly, I am not excited as I was, for example, for Joaquin. But I'm still gonna give a guy a chance. And that's the thing that's usually you learn in the film school. It's like, I understand the decisions behind that some people make. Sometimes they're bad, sometimes they're good. But just give people a chance. Because there has been number of times in the past where an actor has been doubted and they actually pull off the role, and everyone is like, wow, he did an amazing job. It's like, always give people a chance. You never know what they're gonna come up with. Obviously, I'm sad actually that Leto is, committed suicide. Like he had such an amazing career in front of him. Actually, like imagine how many films he would be in, like serious films, not stupid films after this one. That is a very sad thing. But generally, the Joker persona is a very difficult for actors because some actors really go deep into it, and I know some actors from my city, from my country that I talked with, and they told me like sometimes it is really hard to get out of the character if you fully dedicate yourself to the craft. You know, if you fully dedicate yourself, and that's like again, people are gonna start falling asleep. Stanislavski, who is like, yeah, it's like everyone mentions him in film schools. He was one of the first, like, he was someone who wrote a book about acting, and he was the director. He talked about a lot with actors, and he actually talked about acting in general and how if you want to act out something, if you want a certain role, like for example, you want to be sad, think of the worst goddamn thing that can happen to you, like someone stabbing your parents, whatever. Just, and it was like, okay,
Then becoming Batman. There you go.
yeah,
Nice
and
leap there.
yeah, and then this actor says to me like, yeah, he mentioned that, and we're taught to do that, but sometimes that can be a bit hard, because those things can get inside your head, and then when everything is over, when the project is done, you have to go back to your normal life. It is hard for some people.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, this is was why a lot of people have said that the role with Ledger, the role that Ledger ended up with, possibly killed him, and I wouldn't be surprised.
Honestly, what I think about that, it's in some way I think he was depressed before that, and that actually helped him for the role, probably. No, probably, definitely helped him to get into the role with the Joker, because if you can actually like see yourself, sadly, as that person, if you think, oh, I'm this, I'm that, it can really damage you mentally. So I think Joker as a character is a very difficult one to play, because on one side, okay, do I want to be good, but on the other side, I don't want to go too far.
Yeah,
because trust me, some will go too far for the role, for the Oscar, for everything. They will go too far. Yeah. But that's the thing. Now, jumping from the Joker to talk a bit about Batman, a light in this room.
I need to find a rooftop and brood.
It's 80 years of Batman, actually.
80 years of Batman.
God damn it.
How fantastic is that?
Yeah, it's like 80 years that man has been in people's lives, and it's like, it's crazy that for a very dark character as he is, because when I was a kid, when I was reading about, you know, different comic books, when I was reading about different superheroes, like on one side you have Superman, it's like, oh, he's this, he's jolly, he's everything, and on this side you have Batman. I'm like, when I first heard this backstory, I'm like, fuck.
Boring.
I was like, not boring, it was like, oh shit. And it's like, you think about all the things that happened to them and why they're fighting crime in general, because remember, Batman could have went to the other side. He could easily became a Joker if he wanted, because of things that happened to him.
There's even a comic book line where the Joker and Batman swap roles.
Man, yeah.
And Joker goes sane, Batman goes in.
Yeah,
it's like, can happen.
Man, if the Joker is a person that calms you down, you went to shit, my friend.
Exactly.
But yeah, like when was the first time you heard about Batman?
Oh,
do you remember that? Yeah.
I think on Channel 5 I watched the Tim Burton film.
Really?
Yeah, the Tim Burton film, and saw Jack Nicholson playing Joker. And I just couldn't love it more. I love the and one of my favorite comics, The Killing Joke, was actually a gift for my birthday from a friend, and it was fantastic. I remember reading it and just absolutely, just abjectly falling in love with it.
I had him framed, man. It's like that's much
really?
that much I love Batman, because in some way you can, like, I, for example, can identify with the guy. It's like you lose people around you, dear people that are really close to you, parent, whatever, and then it's like, yeah, he went through all of that. Yeah, he had money. but he used that to actually fight evil, to prove the world that it cannot be all that bad. He can be like this, how would I say, fighting in the shadows for the peace, for light. I think that was from Assassin's Creed, but yeah. but that's kind of how I see him, and that's like how he's portrayed. Like if you take Nolan's, like The Dark Knight, he's a knight, but you know,
he's not in shining armor.
Yeah. So in some way, I really I really like how he was written. Like the idea behind him was amazing, and I think he left such a mark on the comic book history. It's like Batman is someone you're gonna have for ages to come. Like
Yes, always.
yeah, it's like kids today. Like I thought, like one thing I thought actually when I was growing up, it's like, what are the new generations gonna read about? And then like, oh, still have Spider-Man, we still have Batman, we still have Superman, and then the Marvel with their, universe. Like, damn, it's becoming bigger than ever. It's like I couldn't.
It's cool to be a nerd.
Yeah.
It's cool to be a nerd.
Yeah.
And my response to nerdism, my nerdism, call it at school, becoming popular, is to go, right, okay, I'm going to dress up as my characters now, so go away, because I'm more nerdy.
That's the thing. That's why I say I'm really proud of you, man, because you do the things you love and you actually are following that. And it's like it's always like this. Like I remember before, nerds and geeks and gamers, they were always like, get him out of here, like margins of society, whatever. But now I see like gaming and this comic book stuff is becoming mainstream. It's not something that's this one kid on the block was reading about. Everyone now knows about Marvel Universe.
Yeah, it's one of the great. As a DC fanboy, it hurts to see Marvel doing so well, but at the same time, it's done us all a favor because we can now all just enjoy what we love. We can now seeing more and more people enjoying comics.
I mean, yeah.
These things. It's what can I say? What can I say? What can I do more other than just be like, that's awesome. Mm-hmm. That's absolutely fantastic. Because at the end of the day, we're all people, and we're all trying to make the world a little less dark. Except if you're Batman, then the darkness is your friend. But that's the thing. That's the thing about about the universe. All these characters, you've got so many. Even now, I'm still finding new comic books that I'm falling in love with. Like there's one that a friend of mine lent me called Oxymoron, which is all about a supervillain who points out like things that don't make sense. So like for example, his one of them was a public servant who serves only himself. How can that work? And his response to that was chucking him off a building.
Wow.
So yeah, it's a sane comic. It's a really sane comic. Nothing terrible happens in it.
Damn.
By the way, lots of terrible things happen in it.
Damn, now I want to read that. God damn it.
I could post it to you, but the guy who I borrowed it off might not be 100% happy.
Nah, I'll find a way. Don't worry.
But Oxymoron's whole thing is like pointing out these flaws with society, and then his main objective is to actually persuade someone to become a superhero to stop him. Mm-hmm. He's literally doing this whole thing to be like, stop me. I want you to stop me. I want you to catch me. And it's really interesting what how that develops as a storyline. And for me, that's one of the things I really, really enjoy in the comic book world is how much variation you can get. Like one of my favorites of I'll never not find this brilliant. There was a comic I've actually got where it's the Arthurian legend, but if Merlin was evil. Like what would happen if Merlin was evil? Lots of it gets dark.
I like that idea. I like that idea of just good guys becoming the bad guys because they had enough.
Oh yeah.
Again comes the line, like you either die as a hero or live long enough to become a villain. Yeah.
It's true in society. In society itself and in human history. The example they base it off is Julius Caesar. Mm-hmm. He was appointed dictator to protect the city, then never gave up his power.
Yeah.
And then you've got another example, Alexander the Great.
Yeah.
A brilliant historical figure, the young prince who dominated, who before he'd hit my age had conquered the known world. By the time he died, was one of the most. Yeah, I know. I feel like I've achieved a lot in my life compared to Alexander the Great. But that's the thing that can happen is that he did all these things. And then by the time he died,
Yeah.
he was the villain. He was the dictator. He was the tyrant. He was the guy who murdered his own friend. Argument with him. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It always will. It's one of the most tried and tested. Even in normal life, you get someone. Because I had a friend who was absolutely fantastic. Worked with him, did lots of. I really enjoyed it. Then, as soon as he got to a certain position in his company, he just completely changed.
Yeah, things like that happen. We all know it. Like we all had similar situations. Like even people watching this, it's like it pains, it hurts, man, doesn't it? When you see people change.
I think the podcast is getting a bit deep.
Yeah, it's becoming too dark, man. But it goes on with the topic. But anyway, 80 years of Batman. He has so many more years to come, and hopefully, like the new portrayal of the Batman with Pattinson is gonna be enjoyable. We have to wait.
Hopefully,
and see. Yeah.
Fingers crossed. If it's rubbish, it's rubbish. But you've got to give it a chance, guys.
It's like.
You're watching.
It's like we live in this age where everyone is just like outrage culture. It's like, something happens, it ruins my life. Well, it doesn't. Just chill with it. It's like, are you losing money? No. Are you producing that project? If yes, be worried. If not, then no.
Sorry. By the way, if you're making this,
you're in trouble. I mean, not just this project, like any project. If you're not like that, that's the stuff I see with Netflix, The Witcher. Like, it's gonna be bad. It ruins my life. Why? You still watch it. You still have the games. You don't have to watch it. Like, it's a wasted opportunity. Someone else is gonna pick it up and do it right. If they don't succeed, it's very simple. But it's impossible today to please everyone.
You never. Well, one of my favorite bands, Ghost, they've gone in a really interesting psychedelic direction, and there's a load of people going, "Well, I'm out. I'm not watching this band anymore." It's like, well, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, then, because your opinion over the internet is. No, we're making statements about over the internet of our opinions. That's different. Go away.
Man, like to everyone watching, do not start listening to Ghost. You will be addicted if you do. Stone.
As a lifelong addict of Ghost, don't listen to him. It's good. The first hit is free, and it just gets better and better.
Man, it's like, I believe last time when we finished the podcast, you actually sent me their videos. I'm like, and now from time to time I don't listen to that music all that much, but I go back to that band. I actually go back and listen to it because I love the songs. And it's not just like you will say to it's just be them yelling. No, they're not. There is a lot of lyrics are amazing. There is a lot of deeper meaning into that. Like the music videos are superb, man. They're work of art. Honestly. I just have to say this because I have in my friendship group I've got an awful reputation for being the guy that like spreads Ghost everywhere. I just have to say, Philippa, you are correct. I am a disease. So I'm not the only case of someone being addicted to that band.
I was literally the only person in the group who liked them, and now I've gotten so enthused and so kind of like, no, you really should check this band out. That basically the majority of my friendship group are now fans. There's one guy who is being stubborn and is holding, but I will get him. And how do I put this? Basically, I've persuaded the entire group, a large amount, to go to see them live, and I'm like so excited, and I can't wait, and it's going to be fantastic.
Your mission is a success. He's like,
yes,
you just hear the Joker laugh behind.
Yes.
Man, but
give me your power.
Did you listen to the songs from Cyberpunk, the Samurai?
No, I haven't. I really need to.
Man, it's like they did it so well. Like it has that punk feeling into it. It's so great, man. You gotta listen to it.
I will. Right, you've indulged me, to be fair. So I'm more than happy. And once again, really, really enjoyed being on this podcast. I'm really glad the podcast has taken off. I just have to say, I have to plug this, even if it is randomly in the middle of the podcast. I've been literally looking forward to this for weeks.
All right.
I've been wanting you to come back so I can be like, yes, today is the day.
Do it.
Do it. Also, just on the cosplay front, might as well get a Kenyan cosplay update because why not?
Yes.
I've been able to, for my birthday that's coming up, buy me presents. That was just a hint at Last Known. No one else has. But essentially, I've got my mum so very kindly is buying me all the pieces for a TIE fighter costume, and I just because we might as well go on the subject because we might as well call this the podcast, the villain podcast, because all we've talked about is villains and a teeny bit of Batman, but straight back to the villains. Why? Right. Personally, we had this conversation before we started. What do you, Empire or Rebels?
For me, Rebels.
Boo, Rebel scum.
A lot of people in the comments like, yeah, Rebels scum. Screw them.
Like literally, if you agree with me, put hashtag the Death Star was false news. Nothing happened. The whole entirety of Alderaan just went on vacation. That's what happened. It was the Death Star was not a super weapon. It was a job crew.
It was an inside job. Yeah.
It was Alderaan was an inside job. I'm using that. I'm definitely using that.
Man, I don't know. Like I told you before the podcast, every time I have to make a choice, like in Bethesda's games, like, I want to be bad, and then I just end up saving everyone. I'm like, God fucking damn it!
No, don't be evil.
Yeah, I don't know. I think generally, if we talk about Star Wars, like it left such a huge impact on like the culture and everything. It's even to this day, it's huge. It's like newer generations going into it, and even if you do like go with the Empire, like why? Like besides cookies, why is the reason to choose Empire?
Because they dress great.
So it's the dresses.
They have all. It's the dress. It's the uniform. It's the fact that they are the civilizing order in the galaxy.
Yeah.
Rather than a bunch of teenagers. And also, they get all the cool toys. Like, trust me, like, I've got to admit, the Rebels have all the best fighters. Like, X-Wings, A-Wings, Y-Wings, all that stuff. 100%. If I could, like, somehow steal one of those and still be part of the Empire, 100% behind that. But the Empire, in my opinion, just has all the cool ships. They just have the cool uniforms. One of my favorite minor characters, in Empire Strikes Back, General Veers.
Yeah.
The guy in the AT-AT. I actually got to meet him. He's a lovely.
Really?
He's also the same guy who played the Grand Maester in Game of Thrones.
Yeah. I know.
Yeah. Pycelle, that's it.
Pycelle, yeah.
He played Pycelle in Game of Thrones, which I think is. But like I said, I got to meet him. He's a lovely, lovely gentleman.
Man, I can imagine.
Also got to meet the guy who played Wun. He's a very tall man. Surprise, surprise. He also played Predator, and he also was in what was the other alien film? Prometheus.
Man.
And so it's. But I asked him like why villains, and he just went because they're cool.
I mean, yeah, it's always more difficult to portray a good villain rather than, let's say, a good guy. It's like you have to struggle with, being a villain, and then you need to have a good reason to be a villain. It's like, no, I'm evil, I was born like this. No, you need to have a good reason to actually become a villain.
The best villains are the villains you have sympathy for.
Yes, exactly. That's why kind of when, talking about the Marvel Universe, it's like Thanos. He was a good villain. Like if you compare him to the rest, he was a good villain with a good story, with a good idea behind him. Yeah, the execution was a bit bad. But screw it.
I will actually, for the first time in the podcast history, I disagree with you, Last Known. Oh, mark it down, children.
That's it. The last episode.
The last episode is over. We're done. It's because I really think Thanos was one of the best done characters.
Mm-hmm.
He had motive. It was well executed. I will agree the sword thing was stupid because I actually do sword fighting.
Yeah.
I've recently started sword fighting,
Nice.
and it's very that blade does not make sense
Not
in
at
the
all.
slightest.
Not
Not
at
at
all.
all. No,
Uh,
because the way it's designed, and the way the blades are, you just end up cutting yourself 10 times out, which is really annoying. Like I'm trying to look cool, pulling off all these moves, and I'm like, paper cut again, damn it.
and you lose a finger for that paper cut.
Yeah, and you lose a thing. Yeah, and you've got no Infinity Gauntlet or time. It's just massively inconvenient. The heroes that you're meant to be fighting, are looking really weirdly at.
Yeah.
And so you've got all this. It's just not.
But no. Talking about villains, I can understand why you like the Empire in Star Wars, because it's like it's Darth Vader, this cool suit and everything, and then for Luke Skywalker, so what do we give him? Something cool? No, just give him a blanket, a robe, or something. Put a belt on him.
Yeah. How did that corridor full of rebels go against Vader? Just asking for a friend.
How would it go against Yoda?
Sorry, fake news. He's a nobody. Vader's where it's at.
The new Star Wars movie, LKM versus Kenyan.
Darth Kenyan, good at long distance running.
In a podcast far away. It's like for 3 hours you hear just two geeks arguing like, no, Empire is better. No, Rebels are the best.
Right, the Rebels might have won, but by the way, when you blew up the second Death Star, didn't happen. By the way, how did the planet of Endor fare when that Death Star crashed into the planet? Not too well, I seem to remember.
It's like,
it's a bunch of daddy bears. Who cares?
Collateral.
Collateral. Oh yeah. So when you ram something into a planet, it's collateral. When we blow up a planet, it's a war crime. Okay.
Man, I wish like in the next Star Wars film, like a third force comes in and they're like the strongest of everyone. I know they've been hinting to actually like go deeper into the force, see where it comes from, blah blah blah. Oh, yeah. It's like stop. It's my time.
Knock it off.
Now knock it off. With one finger, it's like, boom, this thing goes away. Boom, this thing goes away. Like that would be so cool. And that's the thing with like new Star Wars films. Like, I enjoy the new trilogy. I don't think it's the best trilogy. I mean, it's still better than the first 3 films. Sorry.
Ooh.
I'm sorry. It's still better than the first 3 films. Like, not the first 3 films.
Revenge of the Sith was very, very strong.
Yeah. Now that I think about it, I would say first film, episode 1.
That was just Jar Jar. That's what everyone's annoyed about.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, but if you think about like the entire franchise, still the original 6 films will always like rock when it comes to how iconic they are. And the thing I have with the latest 3 films, the third one is coming out, it's like, is it gonna hold out after a couple of years? Because people are still gonna come back, watch all the first 6 episodes, and still kind of enjoy it more than the last 3. And it's like you're always gonna, someone's gonna disagree. I already hear people talk like, oh, don't insult. When someone says, do not insult the first episode, you fucked up. You
Fair
fucked
enough.
up. But no,
the problem with the first episode is it's where Lucas had already been successful, and he was basically given free reign of what to do with the film.
Yeah.
Like at least with the other, when he was broke and couldn't do and had to play a certain way, he couldn't go with his crazier ideas.
Mm-hmm.
While with good old the prequel trilogy, he's already been a success. He's got free reign. He can do what he wants, which is not necessarily what we need, what we want in that case. So I can understand your feelings towards the film, the films in that way, and I do respect. But it, as a whole, I will always defend I'll always defend those films because it could have been a hell of a.
Yeah,
It's so much worse.
in a way, yes. But we'll see. We'll see how the film, like the trilogy, is going to end. I'm also really afraid of the next trilogy. I know that those two guys from Game of Thrones are working on it, right?
D&D, yeah.
Yeah. That's because the problem with that is they screwed up the last season of Game of Thrones, and that's going to translate into the new Star Wars. Trust me. In a way, it will. In a way, it will.
Once again, I'll play devil's advocate in this one. With Game of Thrones, the way it ended, yes, it was disappointing, but they weren't. I might original. The thing I noticed with Game of Thrones, it was brilliant up until they started going off book.
Mm-hmm.
And the big problem when they were going off book was, well, they didn't have direction. They literally had some vague direction from. They had vague directions off George R.R. Martin. So they literally had a page of notebook. Go, this is where I want this to end. This is where. It's much more difficult to do that rather than do it than follow a script and have a really well written story, but then deviate where you want. Mm-hmm. And I've read the Game of Thrones books, and in some cases there were so many like you could sum up George R.R. Martin's writing when it wasn't as great with if in doubt create another character. Mm-hmm. It's like me when I'm creating Shadowrun characters. Got one. With Shadowrun characters, sometimes if I run out of character, if I run out of a direction for it, I will just fall back on. Oh, forget it. I'll just make it and see what. Rather than when I really should stick with it.
Yeah. I know, but like I hope people will forgive them for the next Star Wars, and hopefully the next Star Wars trilogy is also good. I know it's just milking money, but when you look back at episode 1, 2, and 3, like the best thing out of that, honestly, in my opinion, Ewan McGregor.
Ewan McGregor, yeah, very, very.
I mean, he did a really nice Obi-Wan Kenobi, and I'm glad that he's coming back. You know, honestly.
Yeah, and he
yeah, he's getting his own film.
Oh, are they redoing it now? I knew they cancelled it at one point.
Yeah. Actually, they are working on it. I think it's gonna be a part of the Disney Plus.
To be fair, those films are okay. Like Rogue One.
I loved Rogue One. I love it. You know why I loved it? Because all the little kids were screaming because it wasn't the old regular Star Wars. It was dark, man. It's like everyone as parents, you can see like before I watched it, because I knew Rogue One is gonna be dark. I didn't know it was gonna be that dark, but it was gonna be dark. And I was going with a friend, and he's like, "They're all gonna die, right?" I was like, "Yeah."
Of course. Why do you think I've got the popcorn?
And then you can see all the parents and kids, and it's like at the end of the film, they all went like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
it was a good film. I'm not saying it wasn't a great Star Wars film in a way. It wasn't a classical Star Wars film, but I loved the direction of it. I like how dark it was.
It was a love letter to the trilogy.
Yes, exactly. Definitely.
It added stuff without taking anything away from the originals.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things about Rogue One, there was so many great things about it, like I said. The corridor scene with Vader. That is Vader, peak of power.
Yeah.
That is the man. That is the enforcer. That is like the guy that you best be blooming afraid of.
And they presented him really well as a villain in a way, because the people here were not Jedi in a way. They were not anything special. So then you have Vader in front of you, and they're like, "Oh, he's gonna kill them all."
Yeah. The thing I really liked about that scene is it really showcased how truly terrifying someone like Vader is.
Yeah.
When you first encounter him, the thing I loved about it was seeing those rebels' faces just go, "Oh no,
we done fucked up."
Yeah, and all the memes have come out about it, particularly like, "Oh yeah, when you're in a low level."
No, it was crazy. It was a crazy.
It's brilliant scene, and I liked Krennic. They did fall in love with the CGI facing with Peter Cushing a little bit too much, but at the same time, that's forgivable. And like I said, that it connects all the dots. And for all the people who say, "Oh yeah, no, it's many Bothans died for this," it was one line in the second episode, and it wasn't even about that particular Death Star. It was about the second Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, well, you ain't got much, unfortunately.
Yeah, I know. We'll see what the future holds. I'm just glad to go back to everything we talk. I really enjoy talking about the Joker. I really enjoy talking about the Batman. Here is to another 80 years, and to another 80 years of when they come to the Joker as well, because he's also like he is gonna stay one of the most iconic villains ever in history. Yes. Like if you think about, like, ask anyone, even people that don't follow comics all that much, a villain is like Joker. Because they know him they legit know him the most. I'm not saying that there are not good other villains. There are definitely, but he's the one who is the most iconic and most popular in my opinion, and someone that you can just redo in so many ways and still find a way to portray a new light of the Joker, a new way to portray him. So yeah. Anyway, yeah.
I think we definitely exhausted.
Man, it's like, is there anything else you want to say before we finish?
Well, other than that, thank you very much for coming back and returning to it.
Oh man, I'm glad to be here. Looking forward to the next episodes, and to everyone who is watching this, I'm going to leave a link to Kenyan's Instagram. He does a lot of cosplay. He's going into that. He's gonna have a lot of photos and videos for you, as he promised. Please give us more.
Yeah, I'm more than happy to provide more photographic evidence. I have got a long line of pictures from when I celebrated the the release of Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Nice.
So I've got a load of those photos to release on my Instagram to show you guys. I've also got a few bits and pieces everywhere that I do seriously need to source out. I do apologise for the delay for those who have followed me on Last Known's recommendation. It is incredibly rude of me, and I need to behave myself and actually get stuff sorted on my phone. But I will. I look forward to. I definitely look forward to. I look forward to this. I look forward to the next time. And look forward to uploading all of this, uploading all my stuff for you guys. And just like I said, thank you so much, Last Known, for having me back. Thank you, fans, for still watching, and I love you all.
Yeah,
always will.
Thank you for being here. So the link is gonna be down below. Follow up there. Do you have Twitter, by the way?
No, I mean it's.
When you make it, we'll post the link. Don't worry.
When I make it,
you gotta make it, man. Twitter is everything now. It's like.
No, I completely misread that. I think you're saying, well, when you get big, then make your Twitter. But now you're too small.
No. That's the thing, people. Like, if you wanna, you have to start somewhere, man. Trust me, Instagram and Twitter, it's amazing. Everyone watching, do it. Create, upload. It's not gonna cost you anything.
Join the empire. Yeah. Otherwise, you're a rebel scum.
We'll talk about that.
Big shout out to Ellis and Danny Walker, by the way. Everyone in my role-playing group, love you all. And as well, just big shout out to Central Legion and East Midlands Garrison, soon joining as a...
Yeah, big props from LastKnownMeal as well. Thank you for doing everything you do. And that's it for the episode 3 of the podcast. We're going to get more. So to everyone who has any questions, just drop them down below. If you have any recommendations, if you want us to talk about something specific, just tell us down below. We'll talk about it. So yeah.
More than happy to.
Yeah. All right.
Take care.
LastKnownMeal signing out. Stay classy, everyone. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.